to be alive today, and to be here. We appreciate you, for you have been so good to us. Please accept our thanks in Jesus' name. Father, we hand over this class to your hand.
Okay. Okay, this is going to be a great challenge. Okay. Amen. Right. Okay. Since the internet has decided to do that today, and
Give us the wisdom.
Amen. Right. Okay. We're going to introduce our speaker to you. Thank God for another day that the Lord has made. We'll rejoice and be glad in it. And this is the day that the Lord has made. And we will continue to increase in knowledge by upgrading our knowledge and also feeding our mindset with the right and positive and healthy information. Now we're going to invite our first speakers of the day, and that is Ambassador Pastor Awodiran Olusola Olarewaju, to lead us today. So before I say that, I would like to welcome all our great leaders on the platform of Facebook. Thank you so much for joining us today. Feel free to share it and invite your friends and your families, and also share the link so that others on your group or your platform be able to benefit from this great teaching today. Now we're going to invite Ambassador Pastor Awodiran Olusola Olarewaju, Man of Purpose Ministry, Men of Purpose Ministry, Egbeda, Associate Minister over there. He is the Associate Minister of Men of Purpose Ministry. He's also a co-pastor in this ministry in Lagos. He is an accountant by profession, and also he is from the other side, Osun State of Nigeria. He's happily married with children. Now, let me just I'll come out from this scale and see if the internet will favor us today with its teaching. Over to you, Pastor Awodiran Olusola.
Good morning, everyone. Thank God to be here. I'm so happy. God bless you, ma, for this great opportunity. This morning, I'm here to talk about our relationship with our spouse. Our relationship with our spouse. Relationship with our spouse is an explicit description of marriage. That means of a married life, how it should look like for better enjoyment instead of enduring it. Because some marriages are not being enjoyed. They are only enduring it, waiting for probably the day to break or the day good things will start coming in. So instead of people enjoying their marriage, they are actually enduring it. And so I can say a spouse is someone one is married to, with full definition of love and honor, determined or made up their minds to spend the rest of their lives together. That is the definition of spouse. Someone one has determined to spend his or her life with. So marriage is an agreement between two persons to cherish and to love one another in good and bad times, because everything can't just be good. If it's good, then there's danger. So there is good time, there is bad time, to complement each other. with a pledge to remain together till death steps in. Nobody's going to live forever. Definitely one day, death is going to step.
Okay. We just keep going, keep going. I think you just press your button, mute yourself, and then unmute yourself and then mute again, and then hopefully we will get there. All right.
That apart for better and sure get right in marriage is that they thought loving their spouse shouldn't involve misunderstanding, arguments, or fights. The fight there is not a violent one, not a physical abuse now, but not knowing that that the presence of this, that is the arguments, the misunderstandings, the little quarrels, actually understand the spouse. And with this, it gives room for improvement. Oh, I don't like this. Okay, the next time the spouse will not actually do that. Since the other one has said, I don't like it. Oh, don't say this. Oh, don't do this. Don't go there. So many people get it wrong that, oh, there shouldn't be fight in marriage. Like I had a story one time that actually separated a family. The pastor ministered on the pulpit while they were having their 25th year anniversary. And the pastor said that for that 25 years, there had never been any time they argued. There had never been any time they quarreled. There had never been any time they had any misunderstanding. And some people in the church looked at it and said, that can't be possible. But somebody took it up and used it against the husband at home. Since we married, it's not even up to 3 years. We've been fighting, we've been quarreling. When I say this, when I say that, you don't do this, you don't do that. Look at the pastor and the woman to say, just made up her mind and said, I think I have to call this wedding off. I mean, call this marriage off just because of that. And after the marriage got to a point of breaking, the families were involved. And after divorce, that was when the church was informed. And when the church was informed, the pastor just said, it's just a story on the pulpit. It's just a story on the pulpit. I mean, and my wife, we do fight. Even this morning, we had an argument. It's just a story on the pulpit. So what am I saying in essence is that when there's arguments, misunderstandings, we get to know each other better. So there's no point standing anywhere and declaring it, I don't fight, I don't do this, I don't do that. Even the teeth and the tongue, they do fight. At times we bite our tongues. Praise the Lord. Don't mind me for saying that. So that's the truth. That whenever there's arguments, misunderstandings, it helps to improve the relationship between spouse, because through it we get to know each other very well. Some people may say maybe during courtship, one may get to know the do's and the don'ts, but I disagree, because no matter how long the courtship may take, it may not actually reveal the true color of your spouse. It is when you come in, that is when you begin to see certain things. And one thing I discovered in marriage is that in every institution, a certificate is given at the end of a course or the program. But in the case of marriage, that means to show that it has ended. But in the case of marriage, one receives a certificate even at the beginning to tell you that Now, I have some points here that will actually help in enhancing our relationship with our spouse. But I want to say something. Relationships requires work and commitment. Relationships requires work and commitment. You work towards fulfilling it, and you are committed towards fulfilling it to keep love for one another strong, and marriage is no exception, because the marriage must be very, very strong on daily basis. Marriage must be very strong on daily basis. So works and commitment are very, very important to enhance the marriage. So with a little effort and a bit of patience, you and your spouse can improve your marriage. And remember why you pledged your love to one another. So one has to be patient with one spouse. One has to be patient with one spouse. So I have some points I want to bring up or talk on. Like I said earlier on, that relationship with our spouse is an explicit description of marriage, how it should look like for better enjoyment instead of enduring it. And I said that spouse are two people with the vow or the pledge to remain as husband and wife till death do them apart. Now, I have some points here that will actually enhance our relationship with our spouse. Number one is communication. Communication. Communication is interaction between two people or group of people, irrespective of distance. Communication is nothing like distance. Husband or the wife can be in or any part of the world, and yet they still communicate very, very well. Because I discovered one thing about communication. The moment there is a breach or a gap in communication, the enemy steps in. What do I mean by the enemy? The devil. It comes in not in physical forms, but with ideas that goes against the marital vows. Now, communication is very, very important in enhancing our relationship with our spouse. Listening to one another, very, very important. There is a saying that at times there may be time to say some things and there may not be words to say. At times there will be words, but there won't be time to say it. But in marriage, the two must be created. The two must be allowed. No matter how tired the other spouse may be, you must still listen. Because in listening, it will help to ease a lot of tension ended because they did not take communication seriously. When you communicate, you can communicate through text messages, through calls, through video calls, through WhatsApp, even through Facebook. Just make sure you are in contact with your spouse, not 24/7, but at least make sure you are checking on your spouse regularly. Even you left home together, you can still call out, you can still call. Have you gotten to the office? How's your day? This helps a lot to show that you truly care and cherish one another. Another thing is spending quality time together. spending quality time together. This is also very, very important. No matter how long it takes for you to get home, even late at night, you have time with your wife or with your husband, with your spouse. And weekends shouldn't be, if there is no work during the weekends, you must make sure you create time for your spouse. Not that after Monday to Friday, you've gone to work and you came home late, and weekends now came and you now said, I want to go and visit my friend. Definitely, there's going to be a problem. Definitely, there's going to be a problem. Even Monday to Friday, no matter how long it takes for you to get home, still make sure the closeness.
I think it's breaking up. We can't hear you anymore. So
Why should a spouse password a phone? Why should a spouse password a phone? Some said because so that when the other spouse or when the other spouse sees some information, he or she will not take offense. But I told them, I said I disagree. Because in the area of being open and honest, even if there is a secret admirer, let your spouse see it. You are not hiding anything. Let your spouse see that there's a secret admirer. And let your spouse know your stand. When you begin to hide these things and your husband or your spouse eventually gets to know, then there will be something else. Then the brain will begin to calculate, begin to think, oh, no wonder he or she makes private calls, excuses him or herself to go and make calls, all these things. And even when friends outside begins to say one or two things, there may be negative calculations. So one must be open and honest with one another. Very, very important in marriage. Transparency, very, very strong key in enhancing our relationship with our spouse. Me personally, I don't password my phone. I even have to tell my wife, nobody is passwording phone. None of my children password their phone. That is how it should be. We should be able to. No, I'm not asking that we should begin to go into details, checking our spouse's phone, something like that, because that will also knock the fact that there is no trust in the marriage. But one should do it in a way that even when you are so free, you don't password it, nobody will even think of going to any phone and begin to look into details in the phone. You know, you leave your phone, anybody, not that anybody can pick your calls, but you understand what I'm saying. At least people can have access to the phone. So that's about that. The first one I talked about communication with each other, and I said something about spending quality time together. Then I said the third one is being open and honest with one another. Now, the fourth one is working on compromising. Working on compromising. Now, what do I mean working on compromising? Like I said earlier, in marriage, we have arguments, misunderstandings, fights, not abusive one, not violent one, not physical one. But the area of compromising, even if your spouse is the one at fault, for peace sake, you can just tell your spouse, I'm sorry. Probably she was the one at fault and you overreacted. Apologize. When you apologize, your spouse will also make herself clearer. Like, oh, this is actually what I'm saying. I watched a cartoon on Facebook. The wife was on the bed. They just had an argument. The wife was on the bed. She was facing the other side. The husband was sitting down facing the other side. Why? The wife was thinking, only if he can just touch me, then I will make myself clear to him. And the man on the other side, I wish she can just turn to me and tell me sorry. Then I will also make myself clear to her. So you can see, though that still has to do with communication, but compromising, working on compromising. These three words, please, sorry, thank you. They are very, very strong words, even though they sound so small, but they are very, very powerful. That is not taking anything for granted. Not taking anything for granted. So working on compromising. Now, let me give you an example with my own self now. I cook very well. I know how to cook. So no matter how busy I find myself, I still want to enter the kitchen to cook. So at times, me and my wife, there's a kind of a competition in the kitchen, and there's at times we have arguments in the kitchen. No, let me cook. Oh, no, I want to cook. I just want to cook. Now, if I'm cooking, she comes in, look at what I'm doing, and she'll still say, thank you. The fact that I'm the one cooking, which is supposed to be her own duty, I still ask her, please. I still tell her, please, let me do this. Not that, oh yeah, do this thing for me, as if, you understand what I'm saying? Not as if I employed her. No, because in marriage, there is no employment. We are both partners. We are both partners, though the man may be the head, does not mean the woman is a tail. No. The man may be the head, that does not make the woman a tail. So we are both partners, helping one another. So that's what I mean by compromising, working on compromising, accepting faults, saying sorry even when you feel you are the one that is right. And the fifth one is patience. Patience. Very, very important. To be patient is gain, is a great gain. Because when you are patient enough to listen, don't jump into conclusions. Give your spouse the opportunity to express herself. I've said it several times to people, the fact that a man is the head does not mean that he is wiser than the wife. Doesn't mean that he is wiser than the wife. Doesn't mean that he is better than the wife. So there is what we call patience. We have to have patience with one another so that we can understand ourselves better. So patience is very, very important in marriage. We don't have to jump into conclusions. Wait to hear the end of the matter before concluding this is what is happening. And in the area of patience, of being patient, there's what we are giving room for questions. Having listening ears. Giving room for questions, having listening ears is still part of patience. Because when you are patient enough to listen to your wife or your spouse, it will help to have a better understanding of what is going on. Even if he or she does something wrong, don't attend to the matter as it is hot. Allow it to cool down. Allow it to cool down. Then by the time it cools down, you will discover that even your own anger that would have created more chaos would have been succeeded. And then with that, you would discover that everything will just be fine. Now, I have a story. Don't mind me that I have stories. I have a story about a man that vowed to the wife after their wedding. He went to the wife and told the wife, in my life, I will never get angry at you. No matter what you do, I will never get angry. And out of curiosity, the wife was like, how would a man say such a thing? So the next thing the woman did, he tried several times to provoke the man, but this man will still say, oh, sorry, dear, I know it's not intentional. And the woman was like, I did it intentionally. And the woman was like, no, it's not intentional. You are just try to form that you too, you can do something. So I forgive you, or no matter what. So one day, the woman decided to give the husband a bigger blow. Now, the friends were coming for a meeting, and the wife went to the kitchen, added more than enough salt into the meal for the visitors. So when the meal came to the table, the husband tasted it, knowing the wife, tasted the meal and discovered that there was so much salt in the food. He just told the guest, please give me some minutes. There's something I needed to do because what is on the table now is not befitting for you people because I made a mistake in the morning. Oh dear, I am very sorry for the mistake I made. So he took the meal, took it to the kitchen, ordered for food. So while the meeting was going on, they brought food, they ate. And after the guests had gone, the wife went to the man and knelt down and said, I don't understand the kind of a man you are. And I was like, what? He said, that's why if you are doing everything, you can still turn back and say sorry and still pet me and still encourage me. He said, yes, from today, I will not do this again. So he's still on patience, being patient with one spouse. Very, very important. Because over time, the spouse will correct herself or himself. Thank you. And another thing is number 6. Don't yell at your spouse, no matter what. It's still part of the patient. It's part of being patient. Don't yell at your wife. She's your wife. He's your husband, not your child, not your children. So don't yell at them. When you yell at them, now this is danger. When spouse yell at each other, they lose respect for each other, and boldness or courage is lost in the process. Confidence is lost. If the wife does something wrong and the husband yell at her, the wife will lose confidence or courage in herself. Likewise, the husband will lose her honor. Lose his honor. The wife will not honor the husband again because of this fact. So it is very important that spouse should not yell at one another, no matter what. So being patient with them will also help to correct that. Now, that's the end of that one, enhancing our relationship, how we can enhance our relationship with our spouse. Now, there's something I want to bring in. That is how to keep the fire burning. We've seen that these are the things you shouldn't be doing. Now, let's look at what one ought to be doing or what one should be doing to rekindle the fire between the spouses. Number 1 is trying new things or revisiting old things. trying new things, or revisiting old things. Now, what do I mean by trying new things or revisiting new things? Let me pick it from revisiting old things now. During courtship, a man would do anything for the lady. He would do anything. Buy her ice cream, take her to cinemas, go on a date, go on vacation, invite her to the parents, visit her own parents too. These are the old things that needed to be revisited. You must continue to do those things. Now, trying new things. Trying new things has to do with trying to look into other people's life to see how they are doing. What is making them to be successful? You have to also try to copy them. Also, like doing what you have not been doing before. Buying cars for your spouse, building house for your spouse. And if you are not up to that one, paying her salary, despite the fact that she is working, you are still paying her salaries. A woman can also, after making meal, carry food to the husband instead of the husband at place of work, if they do not cook in the morning, preparing the meal and still taking it to the husband's office. Or ordering food for the husband, or the husband surprise visit in our office. These are trying new things and revisiting the old things. Don't say because you are now married, you cannot hold your wife again in the public. You are now married, you cannot hug your wife again in the public. You are now married, you cannot go out with your wife. So we have to try new things and revisit the old things. Spouses must not be far from their families. Like weekends, okay, we'll be visiting your family. The following weekend, we'll visit your whole family. We must do this, and this will also help to enhance our relationship. It will keep the fire burning. Going out on dates, eating romantic vacation. Very romantic vacation. Very, very important. It helps to enhance the marriage. Now, another thing is that number 2, how to keep the fire burning in our relationship. Flirting with one another. Flirting with one another. Very important. Holding yourself, playing, running about in the house as if you are Tom and Jerry in the house. Running upstairs, running together, cracking jokes, making yourself happy, doing funny things, dancing, singing, all these things help to rekindle the fire in our relationship. So flirting with one another, calling yourself pet names, this actually helps in rekindling the fire in our relationships. And number 3 is increase your physical contacts with your spouse. Increase your physical contact with your spouse. This is not just about having sex or kissing. Kissing, it also involves holding hands, hugging yourself in the public, going out together in the public. It is very rare for for the husband and wife to go to the market. Husbands will usually drive the wife to the market. Your husband will remain in the car. The wife will go out shopping. But in this case, you can do the two together. Grind pepper together, price market together, buy things together. Even by so doing, the young generation that sees you too will want to emulate such. In fact, you are already a blessing to them, because they'll begin to imagine that, I wish it is my own turn now. I wish I'm married. I love this, I love this, I love that. You understand what I'm saying? So we want to increase your physical contact with your spouse, not just about having sex or kissing, but holding hands, hugging, making out time together. And the fourth one is, don't be shy with each other. Don't be shy with each other. Be open and be corrective. Don't be shy with each other. I have to be very raw in this area. I have to be very raw in this area, because oftentimes I've had counseling with spouses, so I know what some are actually going through. I discovered that the number one person you should open your secret to should be your spouse. But it sounds somehow funny that when they come out for counseling, pastors will begin to hear strange things. I was like, have you discussed with the two of them will be there? I'll ask, have you discussed with your spouse about this? And she said, no. I said, if the two of you cannot discuss this thing together, it shouldn't be coming to our own hearing. You two supposed to discuss this together. Don't bring it to our own hearing. The wife will say the husband does not last long, and she picks offense. Does not last long in bed, and she speaks offense, and the pain had been in her, that even when the husband wants to get close to her, to have an intimacy with her, she rejects the husband, and the marriage was dying gradually. So when they came to counseling, I just told them, I said, this is a simple matter. You let your husband know where the problem is. The two of you sit down together and think on how to make amends. You can make amends through exercise. You can make amends through herbal remedies. You can make amends by switching. Sorry, I'm being very clear here. You can switch position. When you are on bed, you can switch position. Probably the man had been the one on top, the woman can be the one on top now, so that this will help for the man to last. So when I told them all these things, they were so ashamed. I said, you see now, it's something the two of you should have discussed together and look for solution on your own, and you are killing your marriage in silence. They telling the man, this is the problem. And this almost led the man to go and begin to look for, seek comfort from other women outside. So in marriage, to enhance the marriage, they must increase physical contact. They must not be shy with one another. Be open. Be open. If your husband or your spouse is doing something you don't like, just be open. And the two of you can work out the remedy. And the fifth one is be so close, intimate. Be so close, be intimate in a way that you don't allow your children to bring division. I've had several stories whereby once a child comes in between, the love in the family goes to that child. The woman will not have time for the husband again, neither will the husband have time for the woman again. Then they will shift their attention on the child as if that is the purpose why they got married in the first place. So this must be looked into. This must be corrected. So they have to be very close, not allowing anybody to cause division. Now, if your child cannot cause division, definitely I disagree allowing friends to have control over your marriage. I disagree for allowing your family, your extended families to have power over your marriage. What goes on in the family should remain together, except where the marriage is at the breach of breaking down. So one has to be very close with one another. This will help the marriage to, the fire in the marriage or the relationship to be burning very well. And it has to be a balanced one. As the husband is doing his own, the wife also should be doing his own. Now, there is what we call, this also helps, there's what we call sexual interactions. These sexual interactions also has to do with not being shy with one another. Sexual interactions, at least get feedback. Did you enjoy it? To be sexual interactions. Sexual interactions. Now, I have a woman came to me for counseling. She came, thank God, our counseling section is an open one, it's not a secret one. So she came to me for counseling, and she says she doesn't enjoy her husband on bed. So I was like, how? He said the man comes in, the moment he comes in, he just bounces on her straight, bam. I said, okay, have you told your husband? He said, she doesn't know how to tell him. I said, these are things you should tell your husband. At least before you two will have fun, there should be what we call sexual interactions. This will stir up the two of you to be in the mood. And when you are in the mood, this will help the two of you to enjoy yourselves together. So it shouldn't be a one-man thing. It should be, sex should be enjoyed by both parties. So there should be sexual interactions to stir up your libido. And the seventh one here, to round up this area before I go to certain things that can actually bring problem in the marriage, is visiting counselors or couples therapists. Though it has to be done with caution. It has to be done with caution. Not everything you just carry out, boom. But it has to be done with caution. It helps a lot because psychologically, some people are not balanced. So they need these couples therapists to actually guide them to balancing. Like we told what we have included in our counseling, marriage counseling now in our churches is mental checkup. Before you marry, know the kind of person you want to marry mentally. If you can cope, then you should know there are certain things you shouldn't do, because some people can be emotionally broken. And once they're broken, it could turn something else. So visiting counseling or couples therapists also help to rekindle the fire in our relationship. Now, I want to go quickly to, there are certain challenges in marriage that can actually bring problem.
We would like you to round up, if it's possible, round up the
Yeah,
challenges with this last one.
Yes, ma'am. It's going to be a very quick one now. Now, there are certain things, certain challenges that needs to be attended to both the couples. Now, we have a financial challenge. Financial challenge can actually bring problem in relationship. Barrenness or childlessness or impotency of the man can bring problem. Sexual insatisfaction can bring problem. abuse or violence in marriage can cause separation, and cheating in marriage can actually bring problem. Cheating in marriage can actually bring problem. These things, if one can work on them and pray to God, I believe the marriage will be a blessing. It will be a blissful one, and the couples will enjoy themselves instead of enduring one another. I want to thank you once again for this great privilege. Thank you very much, and I thank you all for listening. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing this important topic with us. And we really thank you and the wisdom you have shared with us, your knowledge. Thank you so much. I guess you are also, as a pastor, you are also a marriage counselor, I guess. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. That wants me to ask this question because you mentioned it on your you have mentioned it when while you are speaking. My question is, what is open counseling? Because I'm hearing that for the first time.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. What we mean by open counseling is that let me put it this way: we have so many scandals in I don't know all over the world, but basically in Africa today we have scandals that has to do with the female, the wife coming to the pastor for counseling, and the pastor taking opportunity, knowing the weakness of the husband, to influence the wife, either in hijacking her from the husband or the taking advantage on the woman. So the open counseling is like this: we can decide to take the counseling to a woman stroke woman, men stroke men, or the two couples coming together. Now, in another open way, my wife and myself can be there while the female comes in for counseling. This is also open counseling, so that it will not look like, so that one will not begin to get unnecessary information or unnecessary stories that happened and that did not actually happen. So there must be a witness. The counseling section shouldn't be in a closed door, but it shouldn't be in a way that people will be hearing, because it's counseling and it has to be a secret thing. It has to be a secret thing. So that's what I mean by open counseling, not counseling done in the secret, whereby scandals can happen or unnecessary attraction can occur between the counselor and the client.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think Ambassador Joseph is raising his hand. Do you have a question, please? Quickly. Do you have a question?
Well, thank you so much, Queen Mother, for giving me this privilege. I don't really have a question, but I just want to appreciate this young ambassador, Awodiran Olusola, for this wonderful stage. Even me, myself, as a single young man, I've learned a lot from you. I've learned a lot, like when I got myself in marriage, when I found myself with my spouse, I should learn how to be patient. I should learn how to, to at least to be endurant when it comes to marriage. Because marriage is not something as the husband, as the head, you begin to see yourself as all the superior. There's a time you give, a listening ear, you'll be patient to hear your spouse. So I really appreciate you this morning for this wonderful topic that you have elaborated so far. In fact, you have changed my mindset on it, sir. God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you
God
so
bless
much.
you.
Thank you so much. Any other question, please? Do you have any question before we move to the next speaker? Any other question? Yes. No question at the moment. I know you have questions in your mind, but you need to ask questions to clarify what you know or what you've heard. Okay, I have a question on the platform, sir. The question's from Christian Uzeri. What are the best techniques and skills for counseling? Maybe briefly. That question is a big question, but briefly,
Yeah.
if you can answer that.
Okay. The best technique and skill for counseling is, let me just say, like the open one I said. You have to be open, 100% open to your counselor. And the counselor also should not be biased. The counselor also should not be biased in any to disseminate information or his or her counseling techniques on the client. So that's the best thing I can say. Once you can open up and disclose everything, you will find it strange that what spouse cannot discuss, they will discuss with counselor. They will discuss it with their counselor. So one should be able to, and one shouldn't take side. There should be no side taking. All that matters is to make sure that everything is balanced. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for answering that question. Maybe I need to add one or two to it as well. And the third one, I've written to openness and no, don't take sides of one another. Another thing as well is that sometimes I've come to realize that sometimes the couples or one of them, they like to share they come to you for counseling, but the problem there is they will share what they want you to know. And the counselor can only cancel what you have shared.
Exactly.
And that is why you see that after counseling this couple maybe for 6 months or for 3 months or even for 1 year, they still end up divorced. And then I'm thinking, I mean, the counselor has done a very good job and has laid this foundation and has already listened to them and listened to them and responded to what they have shared. So in another way round, if you want your problem to be solved, you don't keep. You need to open up, especially the area that you think is heating up in a relationship. Because if you keep the ones that is supposed to be solved and you are paraphrasing something just for maybe you are trying to put yourself in a shoe of you want the pastor to support you more than your husband or your wife. So you will now, paraphrase the problem so that the counselor will not actually see clearly where the problem is. And that is why the next thing I will add to this one is probably we do as a counselor, we do something like constructive questions.
Okay.
Because sometimes when we ask them some few questions, it brings them out from their own emotions. It brings them out from their own comfort zone. It brings them out from their own idealistic when you start asking those questions. And when you few questions, by the time you ask them and they're answering it, the discerning spirit, I'm talking of the spiritual side. Now, the discerning spirit will be able to pick up what exactly the problem is. Because if we don't really understand the problem that is going on, we won't be able to give them the right solution or advice. So that is another thing. So we have something like constructive questions. That's another skills that we can use as well. Another thing as well is instead of really especially if the husband and wives are there, I think we should also have something we call storytelling. I mean, from storytelling, it brings out the wisdom. So we are avoiding, like what you said, sir, we are avoiding taking side of one person from there. Yeah. Because when you do the storytelling, and within that period, I'm believing that both of them will be listening to that story, and they themselves can pick up their own contributions to that problem. So they can see themselves through that story. And then by the time you now finish the story and you ask your questions, I believe that that is my own opinion. I might be wrong, I might be right, but that will that will help them to open. Because to open is not easy, sir. It's not easy. But at the same time, yes, they have the problem and they want that problem to be solved. But to be open up, you will be surprised that there are so many things that has happened. Even probably they've been married for 20 years and that thing has happened even before they got married. And one of them is keeping it. Because sometimes I also realize as well that sometimes the reaction of the moment might not be the reason why things are not doing well. I mean, like one of them might be reacting on what has been passed, what has happened to them in the past. So it's like during that time of the questioning and sharing the stories, they will fit in. You know, they will find themselves, they will capture the picture in that thing. And that is another way to help them to open up, because it's not easy to open up, and especially to review your secret. Building trust is not easy unless the person has already know you well and knows that, you know, that kind of thing. So I want to say thank you so much for this time. Thank you for answering the questions. And I believe there is no more question. And if there is any question, you can type it on the you can type it on the chat box, and then we can pick it up and then we can send it to our speaker, or you can email me. You can email yyci.academic@gmail.com. So on this note, on behalf of YYCI International, because I know you are also very new to us, and we also want to, first of all, we want to say we thank God for taking control of today, because we miss you about 2 days ago when the internet is just playing up. So we thank God that today we can hear you, even though there was a little bit of glitch, but we still thank God for making it possible to deliver to us today. And the message was so clearly understood by me. I don't know of any other person, but thank you, sir. And on behalf of YYCI International and all our patrons and matrons and leaders and presidents and ambassadors and family, we welcome you and we say we thank you for joining us and also delivering your message. Thank you so much to Pastor Awodiran Olusola Olarewaju from Nigeria. Thank you, sir. Okay.
Welcome.
Right.